We went back to Lake Como, Italy. Yep, the same place we visited 2 years ago where this happened. But this time we thought, why not bring our family along? What could possibly go wrong? Second sandwich of the day. We're really struggling to find food in Menaggio, so I think what we're going to do is buy some gluten-free stuff and then we're just going to cook at home. Second beef pasta dish of the day. Yeah. Honestly, I'm a little bit traumatized by that risotto.
Some bits are still a little bit crunchy as well.
So, I was sick last night. Now, if you clicked on this video for the gluten-free gems of Lake Como, sit down, because I've got news for you. Are you sitting? There aren't any. This video is just us surviving, mostly confused with the occasional decent meal, and to no fault of our own. But honestly, who cares when the views are this good, right? On day one, we ate at Tyamoo in Como. In true British fashion, we tried to sit outside, but we caved after 10 minutes because, I mean, look at what were we thinking? First meal I had was a green pesto pasta. It didn't have a ton of flavour, it was a bit bland and there wasn't a lot of it. I added some salt, it was instantly better, but the portion was tiny. And then it hit me. I accidentally ordered from the Bambino menu, so not their fault, I was an idiot. I'm not usually one for eating bread, but I was mopping up that gluten-free roll because I was so hungry. The staff were lovely, which sets the bar high for everything else in Como, and cross-contamination was handled perfectly. Guys, I don't know how to put this, but it's pretty much all downhill from here. From Como, we jumped on the ferry up to Leno, which was our base for the next 5 nights. And despite the rain and the fog, Lake Como is one of those places that still manages to look like a painting. We're back in Leno in Lake Como. This is our place for the next 5 nights. We have this lovely patio area here, and this green space is ours as well, I think. We're going to take a boat to Bellagio today and do a little bit of shopping. How beautiful are those views? But before that, we made a very important stop at Dino supermarket to stock up on some breakfast and snacks for the week. Finding gluten-free bits in a random Italian supermarket is always a little tricky. Dino in particular doesn't have a gluten-free section, so you just have to rummage through until you find something. Anyway, we grabbed our stuff, headed back to the Airbnb and had a proper breakfast before setting off to Bellagio. Every morning we'd start the day with a little breakfast of eggs, meat, cheese, dry bread. Not super glamorous, but at least we were fed and ready to face wherever the day was going to throw at us. When we got there, we landed at Antico, Pozzo for some lunch, where they made it super clear they weren't doing pizzas. I had sea bass with tomato sauce and a very, very small handful of veg. The fish wasn't bad, it had a nice taste, but I didn't know it was possible to overcook something and have it be cold at the same time. Memorable? Not really. Edible? Yeah. After lunch, we wandered around Bellagio a bit to work off the handful of veg, but nothing says holiday fun like eating ice cream in the rain. Enter smooth operators. I went for a pistachio ice cream with a gluten-free cone, and yes, I asked 3 times if the cone was definitely gluten-free, and by the 3rd time the guy just pointed at the box like, don't believe me, figure it out for yourself, and walked off. Fair enough, but you can never be too careful. Mind finally at ease, I savoured every bite. This was delicious. One thing about Lake Como that's slightly inconvenient is that most restaurants close in the afternoon and don't reopen again until around 7 p.m, which funnily enough is exactly when the last ferries are scheduled back to Leno. So we ended up back at the Airbnb assembling a very fancy feast of sandwiches and yogurt. Welcome to Varenna, beautiful, charming and very steep hills. We were about to find out just how steep. But first things first, lunch. Think of Cavatappi as the calm before the storm because the food here was actually quite nice. It's a cute little restaurant with lots of character.
What is that?
I had the lamb shank with, again, the smallest portion of mash I've ever seen. The lamb was really tasty. My only criticism is that it was a little overcooked. We just entered this restaurant here, Cavatappi. It was nice. It's definitely the best meal I've had so far. Every place we've been to so far has had some sort of gluten-free option. Even places that don't really mention gluten-free on their menus or online, so that's really good. And being in Italy, of course, they know what celiac disease is. It is a very touristy place, so I think if you're a foodie and you really like your food and travel for that reason, probably not the best place for that. But it does make up for it in the views. After lunch, we thought a 40-minute uphill hike to Castello di Vezio. Where are we going?
Huh?
Where are we going?
Castello something.
Castello. Castle. The castle was so fun. They had these Demento looking things for some reason, like in Harry Potter. The views were absolutely spectacular from here. After surviving the treacherous descent, we decided on something lower down by the lakeside. So it was time for Villa Monastero. Beautiful, serene, and one wacky looking bathroom. It was so cool seeing all the dresses, bright colours, wild patterns. The gardens were beautiful too. But even dream homes couldn't stop my stomach from reminding me it was dinner time. So we made our way to Bar Molo. Let's get one thing straight. The only good thing about this place is the views. Everything else, questionable. I had the truffle and parmesan risotto. The food arrived in under 5 minutes, so it didn't exactly scream fresh to me. I left most of it. It was so bad.
But that was the worst meal I've had so far. Yeah. Honestly, I'm a little bit traumatized by that risotto.
A couple of hours later, it all came back up.
So, I was sick last night, and I'm almost certain it was the risotto. It tasted so bad. And thinking about it, the food came out so quickly, like within 5 minutes after ordering. I think it was like a microwave meal, or they had it sat there somewhere already cooked and they just heated it up in a microwave or something. But yeah, I went to bed and around 11 p.m. I just ran to the toilet and I threw up. It wasn't a celiac reaction though. We are on a mission to find really good food today.
Except the weather had other ideas. The plan was simple. Go into Como, find some good food, maybe even do a little shopping. But the boats weren't running because of the storm, so it was either sit around the Airbnb all day or go to Menaggio. Menaggio was kind of empty, not a lot going on there. We'd just spent ages wandering around looking for gluten-free food, gave up and went to the supermarket to buy supplies. Beef, tomato sauce, the works. Fully prepared to make pasta back at the Airbnb.
We're really struggling to find food in Menaggio, so I think what we're going to do is buy some gluten-free stuff and then we're just going to cook at home. It's going to be easier.
And then, as we were walking back to the ferry, we stumbled across one restaurant with a sign that said gluten-free pasta. Okay, as I was editing, I realised there was music playing in the background, and I know YouTube can be a bit funny about that. So I was just explaining we'd just been to the supermarket to buy pasta, beef and tomato sauce, and the only pasta option at the restaurant was beef and tomato sauce. So it looked like I was going to be having that twice that day. And honestly, after the risotto disaster, this was a huge improvement, even though some of the pasta was slightly undercooked, and by slightly, I mean crunchy. There is a difference between al dente and raw, but at least most of it was edible, and I'm pleased to report I did manage to keep it down. And not even the rain could stop us from grabbing an ice cream before heading back. There's just something about standing under an umbrella, melting gelato in one hand, watching the ferries drift through the fog that feels accidentally poetic. It was one of those moments where everything's a bit cold, a bit damp, but somehow still perfect. Lake Como might have been trying to drown us all week, but at least she did it beautifully. And that's when things took a bit of an unexpected turn.
There's been a slight change in the plan. We're actually leaving this place today. We were supposed to stay here for another night, but we're actually going to go to another place in Como instead. There are a lot more restaurant options in Como, so we're hoping to find better food there. And the second reason is because if the ferries are a little bit hit or miss, we're going to probably struggle to get back on Sunday. So we're just going to head there now. We'll be even closer to Milan, and it'll hopefully be even easier to get to the airport on Sunday. So really sad to be saying bye to the lake, but hopefully we'll have some nice food tonight.
We made it back to Como via a very expensive taxi. Pro tip, if you drive, just rent a car, it'll be much cheaper. We arrived at our second Airbnb and whoa, it stank. Think sewage, rotten eggs. Apparently it was a drainage issue that wouldn't be fixed for a couple of days. So we left our things behind and hit the shops because honestly it was so unbearable. We decided to look for another place to stay, but first we fueled up on pasta from Tyamoo, you know, to build up the energy to take on the final boss, our Airbnb host, because we were absolutely asking for a full refund. But when you're already down, the only way is up.
Okay, we finally have an Airbnb for the night. We've been having a bit of an issue. We found an Airbnb, we booked it, and as soon as we walked in, it smelled like rotten eggs and sewage. So apparently they've been having some issues with the drainage because of the really bad weather. But we said to the host, there's absolutely no way we could stay there because it stank. We just wouldn't have been able to sleep there. So we found another place, and it's absolutely stunning.
Cullinan Como Lakeview Apartments by Petra Luxury.
We've got a huge seating area and dining area here. It smells very nice, not like sewage, and it's really, really clean. This outdoor balcony area is my favourite bit. That view.
It was everything we could have asked for. Just a 20-minute walk from Como, and the host had thought of everything. My only regret was that we didn't have more time here. I was well and truly in my happy place. At this point, Lake Como had redeemed itself. Slightly. For our last night in Como, we went to La Vita e Bella. We'd all seen the ribeye steak plastered online, glowing reviews everywhere, so naturally we all ordered it. It didn't taste like ribeye at all. It had this weird plasticky taste, and cutting into it felt like slicing through sponge. We asked the waiter, who very casually explained it's because it's marinated or something. This was almost inedible, but credit where credit is due, the potatoes were 10 out of 10. I do kind of wish we'd just cut our losses though and gone back to this place for the third time. Of course, after 5 days of rain, the sun finally showed up on the day we were travelling back to the UK.
Literally 2 hours ago there was a massive thunderstorm. Now look at it.
Yeah, it's gorgeous now.
Perfect timing, Lake Como. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I really can't decide, it was time for us to leave. We flew from Malpensa airport in Milan, and I should have known better because I was totally unprepared food-wise.
We're at the airport and I found this little cafe with a sticker in the window that said gluten-free items sold here. And when I asked what the gluten-free items were, she said only brownies. So there were loads of sandwiches, and even the salads may contain for gluten. So just brownies. It's lunch sorted.
I had a feeling though that I would be able to get something from the McDonald's, and I was right. Now, I don't make a habit of eating McDonald's, but it was literally this or crisps. And honestly, I wish I'd stuck with the crisps. Look, I wasn't expecting fine dining, but even for McDonald's standards, this was tragic. The bun was so soggy, it was disintegrating in my hands. Because they'd heated it up like aeroplane food in the freaking bag, it was like eating a wet sponge with a beef patty in the middle. So after a week of rain, fog, damp clothes, chaos, and all of us getting sick, Lake Como somehow still managed to steal my heart. We laughed, we shopped, we ate some questionable meals, and we made memories that will last a lifetime. Because this wasn't just any holiday, it was a family holiday, and that made it even more special. Lake Como, I'm conflicted after this trip. I'm kind of done with you, but you're so damn beautiful. I'm sure I'll be back again.